Good Tuesday evening, folks. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandajis here with you. We just came off of our on-air broadcast at 6 p.m. this evening, and we are continuing to track a severe thunderstorm warning, a singular severe thunderstorm warning that is impacting south central Suffolk and south central Chesapeake, and that warning is up until 7 o'clock. So we got another 30 minutes or so of this severe thunderstorm warning. Here's a close-up look of it. It looks to be in a weakening phase right now. If you look at it over the last hour or so, you can see it really ramped up as it was cruising out of Franklin. And a history of producing hail that at times was indicated by radar to approach an inch in diameter. Ever since then, it has weakened as it's over Nerney right now, south of downtown Suffolk. You can see it approaching the Great Dismal Swamp. And overall, the signature of it on radar looks to be much less intense than it was earlier, which is a good sign, an encouraging sign. Now, something that could also be happening here is it's going through what we call cycling, where it ramps up in intensity, it peaks, and then it relinquishes some of that energy as it moves into a more stable environment, and then it will move into another environment that will sustain its intensification once again. So that's something we're going to watch here because it's got a long way to go before it exits our area. It's got to move through Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, and during that time, it could ramp on up. So this is the last hour loop here. I do want to show you what it looks like in terms of our hail tracker. And if we go back here, you can see the signature that it had as it was moving over Sunbeam. So here's a look here south of the city of Franklin. You can see that signature here earlier. And these were showing, close to an inch diameter in terms of hail. Again, this was at 5:45, so about an hour ago. But as we go to the present time, it moved off to the east quickly, and it's pretty much non-existent now in central portions and central southern portions of Suffolk. You see the radar returns there. Hail signature has completely gone away, which is some good news. We can take a look at some wind speeds estimates from radar out in the Suffolk, central southern Suffolk area here. Not seeing much in the way of very gusty winds. It was mainly a threat for some large or medium-sized to large hail for this area in particular. Could see some isolated instances of winds gusting over 40 to 50 miles per hour. But looking at any updates from the Weather Service here, not seeing any sort of chatter about this expiring early. Still got another 29 minutes in terms of when it's up for. You see it there until 7 p.m. For Suffolk and Chesapeake as it's moving off to the east at around 35 miles per hour. Speaking of that, let's pause it here and put a storm track on it, moving off to the east at 35 miles per hour towards the Deep Creek area, southern Norfolk and central and northern portions of Chesapeake. So South Norfolk, just outside of when the expiration is set to occur at 7 o'clock this evening. So it's up until 7:03 is when it would make it into your neck of the woods. Deep Creek itself, 6:53. Chesapeake Regional at 6:53 as well. So you got 20-minute lead time easily there. Fentress at 7:05. And if it was to hold together and cross the city line over into Virginia Beach, we'd see it reaching there probably around 7:10 this evening. So roughly 40 minutes of lead time there. But again, the trend here has been our friend because we go back here. Let's just rewind it an hour and look at how intense this was looking when it was moving south of Franklin, okay? And I'll even zoom in on this because you can even see on radar imagery some of the darker or some of the brighter pinks near Factory Hill. And if I put a query on this, and sometimes when we put a tag on this to kind of see a rainfall rate, and we see a value come up that's over 3 inches or more an hour, usually that's indicative of the radar confusing heavy rainfall for some hailstones. So you can see that there, that tag on that heavier echo on radar of 7.5 inches per hour. It's not raining that heavily. It is likely some hailstones getting picked up by radar. And at that time, if we go back and show you what it looked like here on hail tracker, and there it was. I mean, look at what this was showing. Factory Hill area, 1.38 inches diameter hail size, just ahead of 6 o'clock this evening as it was moving over Factory Hill. Let me zoom out to give you a perspective of where that is, just south of Franklin. And we go up to the current time, and that hail signature has really disappeared, which is some good news. Here's a look at the severe thunderstorm warning again. That's still up. Let's put a query on that until 7 o'clock this evening. Chesapeake and Suffolk. Looks like no update from the Weather Service in terms of expiring this early. Which it's definitely a whole lot weaker than it was earlier. Again, not seeing anything in terms of any hail signature there. Not even any concerns for really some some damaging gusty winds, at least indicated by radar here. Not seeing any couplets, so that's all good. We're checking all the boxes on that. Oh, it does look like we see a storm report of an inch hail in Cleopas. 1 inch hail diameter there that made it to the ground. So that's interesting because sometimes with the radar indicated hail size, it doesn't account for melting. So usually it would be a lot smaller when it makes it to the ground from the value that we see on radar, but it looks like it did verify in terms of an inch diameter hail. That's almost, I believe that's golf ball sized hail that could certainly cause some damage, break some windshields and things like that. So that's interesting there of a storm report. Let's see if it's popping up here on our storm reports. Let's see if I can, let's see. Yep, there it is right there. There it is, 1 inch, according to radar, at around 5:55 this evening. And let's look at what that looked like on radar. If we go back to that time at 5:55 this evening. There we are. Probably the height of its intensity right there. And that is pretty much right over the Factory Hill area where I was showing you those values that we queried in terms of rainfall intensity, showing 7.5, 8 inches per hour. That was indicating the hail core that was picked up on radar there. But again, at current time, you can see how much it has decayed in terms of intensity. Just a gusty downpour now in areas south of Suffolk. We got a heavier downpour now over Deep Creek. As you get over to Western Branch, seeing some rain breaking on out there. And even southern portions of Portsmouth, over into Norfolk as well. South Norfolk, some rain breaking out for you as well. And it looks like they just did cancel that severe thunderstorm warning from the Weather Service. Yep, they just canceled the severe thunderstorm warning for the city of Chesapeake and the city of Suffolk. As you can see, it has weakened well below severe criteria there. So that is some good news. We'll have to keep a close eye on this. There is always the potential that it re-intensifies as it goes through a cycle, moving through central and southern Chesapeake and eventually over to Virginia Beach as well. So we'll monitor that. But that's not the only game in town. You can see there is a cluster here of stronger cells well to our south and west. So this is well south and west of Ahoskie. These are generally building to the east-northeast, so they will be impacting northeastern North Carolina. In fact, look at this. This is an interesting thing that we're seeing on radar here that I want to show you. This is the radar picking up on the outflow boundary. You can see this kind of very narrow line of radar returns that's shooting out from the northwest to the south and east, moving through Ahoskie and Mittensville. That is the outflow boundary of when the thunderstorm itself begins to collapse and the downdraft hits the ground and shoots out in all directions. And sometimes it can kick up some leaves and some small debris high enough, lofting it high enough that the radar picks up on it. And that's just the leading edge of some very gusty winds. Sometimes that can actually help to induce more thunderstorm development. So it'll be interesting to see here in that area near Gates County, Hertford County, if we see some flare-ups in terms of storms there in the next hour or so out ahead, preceding this cluster that's lifting out of Rocky Mount. You can see that one cell south of Lewisburg approaching Rocky Mount from the west near Stanhope and Springhope that does have a severe thunderstorm warning tag on it. Hail indicator, not seeing anything on it right now. We'll see if it just has a second to load. Nope, doesn't look like there's any hail indicated there. There's probably definitely some gusty winds, radar indicating nothing impressive there right now. So also probably a weakening phase in terms of this cell as we go back in time. Let's see what it looked like. Oh yeah, you can see that there. Let's see what the hail looked like there if we go back in time. Yeah, you can see it did have a hail signature. Oh yeah, look at that. Near Lassiter, just to the east of Lassiter earlier, about 20 minutes ago. We can just put let's see, I'll go back. What was the signature on this? Ooh, 1.5 inch diameter hail. Again, this is outside of our viewing area, and this is another storm that has rapidly decayed. You can see what's left of it here near Taylor Crossroads, and it's not even showing any hail at this time either. So that's an encouraging sign as it moves towards Rocky Mount. But we'll still have to keep an eye on this whole cluster here that has got plenty of lightning, too. You see these strikes, 230-plus strikes within the last hour, just within that cluster there as it moved over I-95, and eventually will head up into northeastern North Carolina. Farther north, it's really just some gustier downpours there now, and it's really just along the city line of Suffolk and Chesapeake right now over to Portsmouth and Norfolk, getting a little bit of light rain for you. But that looks to be really about it. We'll go back in time about 3 hours, and you can see the progression progression of that lone cell that was likely riding a boundary that was inducing its flare-up in intensity briefly, and has now moved out of that sufficient environment to sustain severe criteria thunderstorms. So that's some good news there. And even the lightning trail on it is really decaying as it moves farther to the east at around 30 to 40 miles per hour. So that's the latest for you on radar here. We wanted to make sure we continued our streaming coverage for you to stay on top of things, but it doesn't look like any severe threat anytime soon. We'll keep a close eye on that cluster, though, off to the south and southwest, emerging out of Rocky Mountain. If it does sustain its intensity, we'll pop back on here. And if it does warrant, we'll even pop back on air on 13 News Now later on this evening. But until then, enjoy your evening. Most of the area should quiet down for a period of time, but we'll watch for some more storms later on this evening and overnight with the passage of a cold front that, by the way, tomorrow will bring back some 60s for highs for most after 80s today. Enjoy the rest of your evening.